Hey y'all, it's Necey Dixon. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, y'all, welcome back. Clack, clack. All right, y'all. So I hope y'all came from my last live where I reviewed Love and Marriage DC. You know, the episode was like super duper entertaining to watch just because it was all about Winter and Kevin. But whenever I started reviewing it, I was like, damn, not very much happened on that episode, but I do feel like a whole lot happened on Real Housewives of Atlanta. As y'all know what y'all are here for, we are reviewing Married to Medicine as well as Real Housewives of Atlanta. This Sunday's episode was the premiere of Married to Medicine. I cannot remember what season it was, and I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I have watched Married to Medicine, hey everybody, on and off for like pretty much since the beginning. On and off since the beginning. Last season, we actually reviewed Married to Medicine on the Ooh Ladies First panel. We had Anila come by the panel and we had Heavenly come by, which was our very first interview. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be a conversation or a topic that hey Jay, we're going to have a topic. No, we're going to have a topic. This is going to be a topic that we're going to talk about on Ooh Ladies First panel. So since this is something that we're talking about on Ooh Ladies First panel and I'm watching the episodes anyway, I decided that we can have some conversations about that, as well as talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta. So what I'm going to do, I think we can alternate week over week over like, is Married to Medicine first or is Real Housewives of Atlanta first? Because y'all, did y'all see the preview at the end of the episode of Married to Medicine to see what was to come for the rest of the season? That was like, who was? It was Quad and somebody else, and Quad was like Pac-Man. Quad was about to get it. It looked like Quad. They was about to fight, and she talking about okay, like the 1980s video games. But y'all, the show seems like it's gonna be pretty good. It was Toya. Okay, it was Quad and Toya. Hey, Kenya. I'm like, oh, yes. See, not a whole ass intervention, but low key. Because where you do that at? Where you do that at? Where you talk about all your friends on social media and then you turn around and be like, hey, friend. Hey, friend. At least y'all, whenever I have friends that I fall out with and I talk to y'all about them, we done. We done. Sorry to that man. I don't know who that is. Okay. I don't know her. Sorry. So for right now, y'all, we are going to get into Married to Medicine first. I'm going to let y'all know what all the ladies have been up to, as well as kind of what's to come this season. I thought that it was a pretty good like segue into all the mess that's going to happen. And then lastly, y'all, we are going to review Real Housewives of Atlanta. So if y'all haven't had a chance, do me a favor, y'all. We're almost to the next milestone, which is 12,000 subscribers, which sounds crazy coming out of my mouth. But if you have not subscribed and you find yourself watching the video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. All right, y'all. So the episode starts out, we pretty much get an update of what all of the ladies have been up to. And now that I'm sitting here talking to y'all, I think I'm going to open up the line. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. But let me finish. I'm going to lightweight review the show. And then I want to have conversations with y'all who are in the comments, because I don't want to feel like I'm talking to myself all the time. Anyway, we get an update for what all of the ladies have been up to. Happy birthday, Antoinette. Oh wait, in the D what? Where you at? On DRD. Oh, on the road and listening in. Ooh, have a shot for me, okay? Now, anyway, we get the update on Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone, and they're back friends, which is good to see. It's been so long since the show last came on. It feels like I can't remember how I felt one way or another, but we're gonna start fresh, y'all. They're back friends. Their husbands are back hanging out, and they glad to be hanging out because they end up saying, "Oh, we about to go get some wings," which is code word for we going to the strip club, right? So the husbands go to the strip club, and Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone are at the house, and they're talking about like new procedures. They're talking about an O shot, which I've never heard of an O shot, but I have heard of the penis enhancement shot. Okay. I have heard of that only because they had like billboards in Dallas. And y'all tell me if that was y'all's first time hearing of the enhancements. Never heard of the O shot before, but it was a billboard in Dallas. And I was seeing, y'all let me know if my Wi-Fi start acting funny, but I was seeing where it says enhancement, where they'll put basic, I don't know if it's filler, hyaluronic acid, but they'll put shots to basically make it a little bit thicker, make it a little bit thicker or longer or harder. Oh, I'm like, what? Okay. It's a bit wild. It's a bit wild. That is wild. Also, I don't know if y'all have seen, they have procedures that can actually make you taller. Like they can, I think they do something where they essentially like break you at the shin, and then they put something in you to extend like a metal thing. And it was this doctor on Instagram that I saw, and he was turning dudes from like 5'8" to 5'11". And I think on average it was only safe to get like 4 inches taller. So the dudes were getting significantly taller. It's just so wild to me, all the things you can do. Y'all tell me in the comments if y'all will get an O shot. I'm not gonna tell y'all all my business or what I think about that, but y'all tell me in the comments if y'all will get an O shot, okay? So next, y'all, we move on to Heavenly, and we see what Heavenly has been up to. We see her and her daughter, and they're working on a beauty supply store because she wants to leave her daughter with a business, which I think is good because in the previous season we saw her get her son started on real estate, and he got that whole waterfront property that was way over budget, and it looked like they were at that waterfront property. So I'm sure they're making money off of it. So I'm like, okay, it's good to see you focused on generational wealth. Quad comes over to the house. And whenever Quad comes over to the house, they start talking about Contessa and Heavenly no longer talking. And Heavenly is confused. And I looked like that because I'm like, girl, what is you confused for? Or lady, woman, what is you confused for? I guess she just disassociates when she gets on YouTube, and she didn't really consider it as talking ish about her friend, but she's just kind of like, dang, I talk to Contessa more than anybody, and now we don't talk at all. And she's actually really hurt that Contessa is not talking to her. So the camera pans over to Contessa, and she's like, yeah, I don't fuck with her. I don't fuck with her because she's been talking about me on YouTube. And they show all the flashbacks. And what Heavenly said that was so bad. Hey, yep, that's D. Heavenly said, and I have the screenshot. It says, do you think Contessa is in an abusive relationship? Heavenly said, emotionally, yes. Mentally, yes. She said that she thought that Contessa was in an abusive relationship. If I'm being all the way real with y'all, I don't remember a whole lot from the last season, but I remember saying my damn self that it seemed like Contessa was in an abusive relationship. I remember when they got to that reunion and they were asking Scott about this life coach. Contessa was afraid to speak. I remember when they was at the reunion and Andy said, Contessa, have you been proceeding with filing for divorce? And Contessa sat there just crying, and she signaled for Quad to speak for her. She wanted Quad to say it out loud. Quad said it out loud that yes, she's actually proceeded with filing for divorce. And a lot of things, it was another situation on the show in the previous season where I think the women were basically holding Scott accountable for essentially, I'm going to call a thing, cheating on her with this life coach. He might have been emotionally cheating, physical cheating, I don't know. But the other wives wanted to hold Scott accountable for what he was doing. And for whatever reason, Contessa was afraid to do it her damn self. So after all of the women basically lit his ass up last season and was like, you don't treat your wife that way, Contessa ends up leaving crying with her husband. And this is why, y'all. This is why whenever you get your friends who are in really serious relationships, or your friends who are head over heels for somebody, or people who are married, this is why when things go on, you let them get through it. Because y'all sat there, y'all basically got into an argument with Scott over what he was doing, only for her to cry, then to leave, and then get back with him the next season because he's finally decided to go to therapy. I'm so glad that y'all decided not to break y'all's family up, because that's what I'm about to tell y'all in the next scene. Heavenly is just wrong for talking about it on YouTube. Heavenly, you know, y'all seen them posts where it be like, I ain't gonna tell nobody, but I'm gonna call my mama and tell my mama. That would have been one of them posts, Heavenly, where you don't talk to the public about the mess that your friend got going on, but I'm definitely gonna pick up the phone and be like, Mama, girl, let me tell you what Contessa just told me. Heavenly, that's what you should have done instead of doing it on YouTube. And you also have so many businesses, Heavenly, that it's interesting that you enjoy or even have the time to use YouTube as an outlet. Like, for what? I mean, people get paid on YouTube, but it's like, Heavenly, you already do so much. It's like no reason for you to even put yourself in this situation to where you're pissing off all your friends. It just don't make sense to me. I don't know these people from a can of paint, so it don't make no difference to me. But Heavenly, could be me, okay? I wouldn't do it if I were you. So now, y'all, we move on to Contessa. Contessa has been bodybuilding, and she let us know that they were moving forward with the divorce, but Scott decided to go to therapy. So, okay, good for y'all. Next, y'all, we get the update on Quad. Quad's house is a full house now. I don't know why this lady needs 14,000 square feet, but her house is beautiful. If you really think about it, y'all, Anila and her husband and her kids and her mama, who basically is at her house all the time, they live in 14,000 square feet. Quad lives in 14,000 square feet. Her mom finally moved in. 6 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms, and her nephew Mason, he's 6 years old, and oh, he's so cute. He finally he moved in. So Quad has found herself being a Muntie, kind of like what we're seeing Marlo doing. And the reason why she's in this situation is because her brother passed away, which is Mason's dad, unexpectedly at 34 years old because of a heart condition. And I hate that. I hate that. There's also a scene where Mason is crying because Quad is saying to him, you know, why are you not focusing in class? And he was like, you know, I'm thinking about my dad. And I'm like, damn. Y'all, that was just so sad to see. Then they showed the flashback of Mason when he was a little baby, and he was just as chunky and thick and juicy as every little baby with a whole head of hair. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Quad does the right thing, and she says, you know, everybody got a lot going on, but you know, you still need to focus on school. I think that it's good that Quad acknowledged the way he felt, because he is missing a parent. I don't know where his mom is, but he is missing a parent, and it's missing his primary parent, because I don't know who would, you know, just let the aunt have it if his mom was here. But he's missing a primary parent. So Marlo, we're gonna talk about Marlo in this next episode. I mean, in this next review. So stay tuned. But Marlo, take notes, okay? She not only addressed the way he felt, but then she still corrected him and told him that he needed to focus on school. So now, y'all, here, I wanted to read this comment from Ray Bay. Ray Bay says, Contessa's still embarrassed by her husband, and she's taking it out heavily. She shouldn't have discussed that or skipped the question. She is taking it out heavily. She is, because she definitely looked like a damn damsel in distress last season. Okay. So now, y'all, we get the update on Anila. Anila is in the new house. Finally, y'all. There was initially $1 million budget, then 1.5, then 2, then 2.5. And I could have swore, y'all, last season they said the house was $3 million, but 2.5, $3 million don't make no damn difference to me. It's too much for me. But they end up spending that on the house. They too have a 14,000 square foot house, 6 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms. It's beautiful. And they basically end up having what's called a house blessing. It's something that they do in their Hindu, I don't know if she called it Hindu or Indian culture, where they bless the house with their immediate family and they actually have a cow come in the house. Y'all, I feel like they had the cow come in the house because they got money to blow. I'm just saying, y'all, my neighbors growing up next door were Indian and they often had blessings like this. I remember when they first moved in, they had a house, my neighbors, one door over and two door over, and we grew up with their kids. They had a house blessing both times that they moved in, and then they moved to another house which was like at the back of the neighborhood, and they had a house blessing. Now one time did they have a live cow come through the house. So that's just money. That's just money to blow, and I ain't mad at you. So the cow comes through the house, and they basically explain the importance of the cow and how it does everything for you. You can eat, you can drink, it provides. It's the ultimate provider in their culture. And the cow ended up pooping basically in the house on the patio. And I was like, damn, was it really worth it? The cow literally walked through the house. Don't know about it. So yeah, we're gonna get to talking about Anila a little bit more because they actually end up having this housewarming party for everybody. But before we talk about Anila, we're gonna talk about Toya and her ex dream home. Y'all so damn shady. Y'all so damn shady for the way that y'all edited this. They show us, they go from Anila's house to Toya's ex dream house, and then Toya's rental home. Like, y'all really try to do her like Karen off of Potomac, okay? Oh, that's a rental. That's not her house. That's a rental. But y'all, I remember whenever all this was happening during the pandemic, it really does feel like this show has been off for 2 years because, y'all, we saw Toya have her husband working days and nights, saving lives, and coming home. Your husband was tired. He was, truth is, I'm tired. I'm all stressed out. y'all know that old African that black portrait of the lady on the bed, and she's like this, and you could tell that she is just so stressed that she don't even want to start her damn day. That was Dr. Eugene. That was Dr. Eugene, and that's how hard she had him working for this damn dream house. So we saw all that happen. Okay, Esther. We saw all this happen on the show for you to be in the house for less than a year. And then in the middle of the pandemic, when ain't shit else going on, I see all the blogs reporting on you listing your house for sale. I think Toya did a really good job of coming up with a cute story and skating around the reason why they're getting another house. Toya, your husband allowed you to convince him to bite off more than y'all could chew. Yes, y'all are rich. Yes, y'all are wealthy. Y'all have money. But let's be real. Everybody has a budget. Everybody has a budget. Everybody has a cost of living that they should be comfortable with. And I feel like the amount of work that your husband was doing was probably unsustainable, especially if you didn't know when you were going to be filming again for Married to Medicine because we were in the middle of a pandemic. So he told your ass, let's get the equity off of this house. We moving because I'm not about to be working all day and night. And that's what y'all did, in my opinion. But Toya comes with the story and she says, I thought it was my dream home, but really the backyard, there's no space for kids and there's no space for this and that. And y'all, let's be real. If you gonna spend all that time building a dream home, wouldn't you think that you would have thought about the space for the children that you have? I mean, that's just me. If I'm spending so many million on a house, if I'm spending so many 100,000 on a house, that's something that I'm going to make sure meets my needs. So Toya, I just think your story is kind of interesting, and I just want to know. The Real Nine says, y'all, I really do believe that Eugene and Toya sold their house and made a huge profit. Not sure if you guys know, but the Atlanta real estate market is flaming, so that doesn't surprise me. They might have made some money, but let's say this. Let's address this. I'm glad you left this comment, the real in dot. You're right. Real estate market was insane during the pandemic. Like that's whenever stuff like just started to get crazy. Like the summer of 2020, it was insane. Everybody got equity if they own something. But I also feel like if that was your dream house, why would you go sell it that fast? That doesn't even make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me that the amount of equity that you got in a year was worth moving. If you stayed in the house for 2 years, 3 years, that's the type of equity where I'll be like, you know what? I got 3 years worth of equity in this house. I'm gonna take the money and move. But after 1 year, I don't think the equity was probably worth it unless the equity was like in a significant amount in comparison to what they paid. I couldn't imagine it being like that. But I guess the world will never know. She had a really good story though. Or whatever she told us was good, okay? So anyway, y'all, she says that she's going to build another dream home and it won't be ready until April of 2023. So I'm wondering whenever they film this, y'all, because it's only July 2022. So we got about another 9 months until the house is ready. And I can't wait to see it. And the reason why Toya's story works is because they have money. They still have money. And whenever they move into this next house, it'll be what she wants it to be. I'm pretty sure. Not sure if it'll be bigger, but it'll be something that's better and something that's easier to keep up with, where her husband doesn't have to work nights, weekends, holidays, and everything else. My opinion. Okay, so Anila and Toya, they're cordial at this point, and their relationship is a work in progress. So I guess we're gonna see where that goes. Now, y'all, it's time for the party. We at the birthday party, and it's not a birthday party. We at the housewarming party. And, you know, everybody shows up. Majority of people are wearing traditional Indian wear. And Heavenly and Dr. Damon. Heavenly is feeling some type of way because this lady is down there talking to Daddy. She's talking to Dr. Damon. And Heavenly's feeling away. So it's like, oh, okay. Funny, cute. It didn't really matter to me, y'all. But what I did want to talk about, what mattered to me, was Contessa in his damn Party City outfit. I had to screen grab that. Y'all see this second slide right here. Anila, thank you for being honest, y'all. Thank you for being honest, Anila, and saying Contessa did not understand the assignment. And what was so damn funny was when Contessa and Scott were getting ready for the party, they were talking about how they weren't going to wear traditional Indian clothing. Scott said that if somebody showed up to my house wearing a dashiki, I'd punch them. And then you show up to the house wearing Indian clothing. Well, Scott, Contessa, you show up to the house wearing plastic from Party City. Girl, what? Girl, you would have been better off wearing that dress that you put on whenever you got ready to leave the house. I'm just like, that was a hot mess. Yes. Like, you absolutely tried it. So I'm glad that Anila actually said something like, y'all, you could see the plastic material in the gold in that dress. Dead ass wrong. Okay, don't do it again. So Anila, you know, everybody's partying. Anila looks good. She changes into a second red outfit that looks fire. She walks everybody around the house and she gets she told everybody that she got all the furniture for free. That is so wild to me because we know that Anila is a fashion / mommy blogger. And even though her husband paid for that damn near $3 million home, she got $500,000 worth of furniture for free because she blogged it. Goals. Goals. If y'all know anybody that want to send me some damn furniture, please. Okay? Please. I will gladly furnish my next house with some blog furniture. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But y'all know what? It also could be, whenever bloggers share links, they often get paid. So like the Like to Know It, the Amazon links and all that stuff, you get paid in return, and then you can go buy the stuff again. And I'm like, wow, that is amazing. So now y'all, this comment from Stephanie Ray. Stephanie Ray, girl, you didn't took the words out of my mind. When I was watching the show, I was like, renting, huh? Stephanie Ray says Toya probably made a huge profit. ... And so are the people that they're currently renting from. Make it make sense. More on this though. More on this, Stephanie. I'm so glad you said this, because I told y'all that Toya and Eugene probably bit off more than they could chew, right? And they probably could have afforded it, but you want to be comfortable. Nobody wants to be house broke, or nobody wants to feel like, you're working simply to pay for this house, right? So the fact that they sold the house, made a good amount of equity on it in a year, and then rented a house in this economy, rent prices are sky high. That tells me that renting a house in this economy gave them relief from what they were paying on a mortgage. So y'all take that into consideration. That's part of the reason why they sold the house too. But it ain't none of my business, okay? In 95, yes, you're right. People have to buy the product for you to get money, not just by clicking the link. Okay. Anyway, so now y'all, the men, they're talking about the progress between Dr. Contessa and Scott ever since last season. And y'all, I still don't have good feelings about Scott, just because he said there was miscommunication and malinformation. Scott, you weren't in that situation because of misinformation. That's how this is how confusing this man was trying to. Scott, you were not in that situation because of miscommunication and malinformation. Malinformation is just a real cute way of saying lies. Did you provide the malinformation to your wife, or did other people provide malinformation? Did you miscommunicate with your wife over whether or not the lady was a life coach or she was a lady on the phone line? I don't know, but it just sounded like there was some lack of accountability there. And I'm like, I don't know. So the other thing that the men talk about is, it's okay because we all been through it except for Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Damon. And Dr. Damon sits there and goes, basically like, I ain't gonna tell y'all about the shit we've been through. And Heavenly addressed this on Instagram or Twitter today or last night. And she basically says, it doesn't mean they don't go through things. It just means she would never expose that on TV. Family first. Girl, respect it. Okay. At least that's understood. Okay. But as far as talking about your friends on YouTube, I guess you don't give a damn. So finally, y'all, Contessa is updating Quad on how she feels about Heavenly. Contessa does not speak to Heavenly at all when she comes to the party. And Heavenly is actually hurt by this because she doesn't understand at all why her friend would not be talking to her. And Quad is being devil's advocate. I think Heavenly is really hurt. She's really messed up about it. She's really messed up about it. You should talk to her. And Contessa's basically just like, girl, fuck that lady. She's like, we spoiled her for too long. She does things and then we forgive her for it. And Contessa says, I'm supposed to be forgiving of you because you feel a way about something you did to me. Contessa, I understand where you're coming from 100,000%, But can't remember which one of y'all said it, but as one of y'all said in the comments, I do feel like a little bit of this she's taking out on Heavenly instead of taking out on her husband a little bit. However, regardless of the situation, I think I can say in plain black and white that Heavenly is wrong for talking about her friends on YouTube and making a coin from it. Even if she talked about them for free, it would be wrong. So overall, y'all, the party ended up being cute. They introduced a new couple, kind of, not really. It was like a far away camera angle. They introduced Adra, who is a real estate attorney, and they introduced Dr. Martin, who is a dentist in the Atlanta area. So I guess we can probably expect to see them. It seemed like, she was friends with Heavenly, so they're going to be introduced to the show by way of Heavenly. But all in all, y'all, I think they just set us up for something light. They set us up for something light. They didn't do way too much, okay? So, y'all, that's all I have for Married to Medicine. But y'all hold tight. We are going to be reviewing Real Housewives of Atlanta right about now. Do me a favor, like the video, subscribe, and don't go nowhere. Sit tight, okay? And we'll get into the next review. All right, y'all. It is time to review Real Housewives of Atlanta. This was a very entertaining episode. I love this second picture that I have of Kenya on the side of the screen. We had drunk Kenya. Kenya was funny AF. She was funny AF. So, episode starts out, y'all. Sheree is on her daughter's podcast. That was a scheme. That was a scheme that was set up by Tide. It definitely was giving fake. It was giving stage. And in the middle of the podcast interview, her daughter ends up saying, "Oh, breaking news. Girl, Apple News did not report on that bullshit. Washington Post did not notify you that your mama was stood up by Tyrone. Blocked." I can't. You better call Tyrone. Declined. Hey, blocked. Okay, let's stop playing, okay? Let's stop playing like your mama was breaking news. But whatever, y'all. This was a scheme. And Sheree's not all Indians. Hold on. Journey to Jasmine says, not all Indians worship the sacred cow. It has nothing to do with money. That is their religion. I think you took what I said out of context, Jasmine. I think go back. So I didn't say all Indians worship the sacred cow. I said that if they are of Hindu religion, like my neighbors, they had the luxury of walking a real life cow through their home because they have money to do so. Okay. All right. Glad we got that through. But Real Housewives of Atlanta, y'all. I cannot. Her friend Fatum is there. Fatum is this third picture on the right. We saw her at Kenya's daughter's birthday party, and she was coming with the tea. I think she was the one who spilled the tea that people, or I don't even want to call it tea. She was the one that alleged that Ralph was gay or into men's. But anyway, Fatum was there. And Sheree's daughter is asking her about Tyrone. It says that Tyrone and Sheree are no longer speaking. These pictures were released of you. What are the pictures? Number one, okay, whatever. They're not speaking. Number two, I didn't see any pictures that were exposed of Sheree. I don't know if they're talking about the pictures of her being at the restaurant by herself or what. I was so confused. But anyway, Sheree gets her moment to try to explain what is going on with her and Tyrone. Next, y'all, we get to see what Marlo has been up to. Marlo says that her nephews have been acting a plum fool. The first scene, they got this gigantic teddy bear in the room. The teddy bear's neck is cut. It's clothes everywhere. The kids aren't really taking their clothes to wash them like she asked them to. And Marlo is just like, I am tired. I am exhausted. And, the nephews are acting a fool. So we're going to get back to Marlo and her nephews, but let me give y'all the rundown of what everybody been up to. Kenya and Sonya, they're hanging out at Kenya's house. And they're talking about what it's like to have a full house. Sonya says that they like to sneak in closets and have sex because there's so many people at their house, and it just does not sound desirable to me to be living in a house with your parents, with your sister, and all these kids, and y'all got to sneak in the closet to go have sex. Not desirable, but okay. They just talk about how dropping with Drew was so crazy because Kenya and Marlo got into an argument. Next, y'all, we see Sheree again with her friend Fatum. And when they're having a conversation about Tyrone, and I feel dead ass wrong for this. Why did I start laughing as soon as I start talking about Sheree crying to her friend Fatum? I hate it. Sheree. And this is what I was talking about in my previous review. Whatever Sheree has going on, I feel like Arena from Love and Marriage DC has going on, where you big at the age level, like you grown, but it's still something about you that's like real little girlish. Like it's still something about you that's still very naive, still very insecure. And she's talking to Fatum about Tyrone. I can't believe he did this. I loved him. Crying. And she's walking into another room because she just don't even want the camera to record her, and you can't even see her face. And I'm seeing a bunch of y'all think it was fake. Danielle says, oh, not comfortable. Abu says, because it was fake. And then Cameron says there were no tears. Oh, Pink Petal says, so fake. Danielle, I'm right here with you. Like, Arwa said that Sheree crying looked fake. Okay, y'all. I do think that she was crying real tears. I think she was crying, Jay Antoinette and C. I do think she was crying real tears. I do think that she is embarrassed. I think she's crying because it's like, damn, I look like a fool on TV. I told these people in order to sign my contract that I was going to give y'all the Tyrone story, and I ain't got no Tyrone coming home story because that man has me blocked. I thought it was real. Her face was just so red. I can't. But the reason why I laughed was because it just was out of nowhere. Like it was so dramatic. I was like, damn, this is painful. This is gut wrenching. It was a bit much. It was a bit much, okay? So Taylor Ann says, I felt bad for Sheree too. I think she was crying for real. Yes, I think she was crying for real because she was hiding her face from the camera. I ain't never seen Sheree really cry like that. I saw somebody in the comments say that they feel like Fatum is thirsty. And I think she is. Oh, okay. The real end died. I ain't gonna lie. Fatum seems thirsty. I agree with you. I just want to know, like, Drew, why do you keep allowing these ladies to play you? Drew, why do you have no response for the things that these people are saying about you? Girl, you're going to have to figure that out. So now, y'all, we see Drew and her mama. Hold on. Before we move on, y'all, can we talk about Sheree's house? I don't know if this is like public knowledge or like a public conspiracy theory, but I've been thinking for the longest amount of time, like Tyrone keeps saying that Sheree is responsible for him going back to jail, or that he could go back to jail by being filmed with her. And Sheree keeps acting like she's so confused by that. And the reason why I think that Tyrone is saying that It's because I think Tyrone was paying for the house with that fraudulent money. That's just my conspiracy theory. Um, I feel like that's probably why it took so long for Sheree's house to be ready. I think Sheree went through building phases and pause phases of that house being built because the money was kind of funny and it wasn't like regular money. Like somebody who works a 9 to 5 or somebody who does a legit job consistently, then you know that you're going to have a relatively the same amount of money every single month because you're doing the same thing. Unless you're scamming. Unless your man is funding the home. And I low-key feel like that's probably why Tyrone don't really want to be seen with you, because y'all are connected in some way that's related to a negative aspect of his past, which is scheming and scamming. Okay. Selling Louis Vuitton bags in the beauty supply store, selling banana bread for a couple dollars. Okay. Y'all let me know if that's like a well-known, a well thought of conspiracy theory, but that's just my thoughts. So the other thing, and y'all know I'm gonna come to y'all, yes, Taylor, and I'm gonna come to y'all with a conspiracy theory. My second conspiracy theory is around Drew and her mama. So we see Drew and her mama in the nail shop, and we find out that Ralph is writing a step-parent book. While Ralph is writing a step-parent book, he's also refusing to adopt Josiah, which is Drew's son from a previous relationship. Remember, Josiah's daddy went to prison and he met back with him like last season. Now, while that's super weird, I'm not really surprised, because last season Drew was talking about how Ralph is very unemotional when it comes to Josiah. Ralph doesn't give Josiah like any real love or feelings of affection the way that a father should do a son. And I think that's because Ralph is missing some marbles. And Ralph has found a way to disassociate himself from Josiah even a little bit, but you want to make money off of this book. It's something about Ralph that just does not seem authentic to me, including the 12 aliases. But I think that's why he doesn't want to adopt Josiah. He says it's because Josiah has a dad, but the way that y'all came together and Drew, you were willing to make Ralph Josiah's dad last season is just, a little weird to me. It's a little weird to me that he stepped into this boy's life and did not adopt him for as long as his father was gone. This comment from Ivy Dashid says the boy's daddy might feel a way about Ralph adopting him. He might feel a way about Ralph adopting him, but y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like you have to have lost your parental rights or signed over your parental rights in order for your child to be adopted. So if Josiah is eligible for adoption, that means that his birth father doesn't have parental rights anyway. So I don't know. I really don't know. Now, the main conspiracy theory that why Universal Song Goddess, you ain't ever seen nobody with the banana bread? Girl, I have seen way too many people with banana bread coming up to me asking me if I want to buy a loaf of bread for money. I hand them a couple dollars and I never take the bread, or I just say no. They come when you in a beauty shop, they come when you at the gas station, or they come when you in the parking lot walking to your car from Walmart or Sam's Club. That's where I see them at all the time. Okay, so the conspiracy theory that I have, y'all, has to do with Drew's mom. Yeah, right. They have to do with Drew's mom and this person who she was talking to at the church. So Drew's mom says that, she was talking to this lady at the church, and the lady at the church says, I feel like I really have to pray for you and Drew when you're in Atlanta, because I keep seeing this spirit. I keep seeing this spirit of a woman, and she doesn't mean well for y'all. She says it could be the spirit of a woman, or it could be the man who has the spirit of a woman. And it's so funny to me that Drew immediately thought that it was Sheree, she thought it was Fatum, or she thought it was Sonya. But the fact that this woman said that the spirit could be the man that has the spirit of the woman also makes me think, Drew, you can't rule out who your husband was with when he was in Florida. Okay? You cannot rule out who your husband was with. I'm not saying that I believe that Ralph is into men's, but I'm saying that that can't be a possibility that's removed from the table. It can't be a possibility that's removed from the table that the spirit that this lady is seeing is a man who has the spirit of a woman. And I didn't say it, your mama said it. So y'all tell me if y'all caught that. Everybody just immediately thought that the bad spirit was either Sonya or Fatum. But for me, I feel like it's none of these ladies on this show. It is somebody who is messing with your husband. It's either the assistant, it's either the person that he went to go see in Florida, or it's either the man that Sheree and Fatum alleged that he is with. Or Anthony alleged that he is with. So y'all tell me what y'all think about that. So she updates her mom on Sonya and all the fake stuff that Sonya has been doing. So I'm just like, okay. All right. So now y'all, there's some house shopping going on. We see Marlo, Sheree, and Sonya, and they're having a conversation about the girls' night that's coming up. Marlo is talking shit about Kenya, and she's saying that she doesn't know if Kenya is taking pills to lose weight or what. Marlo with her under the belt insults. This is also the group that I feel like we're going to see Sonya cling to, because I feel like Sonya is going to burn her bridge with Kenya. Based on the previews that we get to see in the future, it seems like Kenya and Sonya are going to get into it. And yes, I'm going to rebel in it. I am. I'm about to admit that to y'all. I will have a jolly old good time watching Sonya get lit up by Kenya, because that's the girl whose table you wanted to sit at. That's the girl who on Wednesdays we wear pink. You wanted to be dressing like. You wanted to get in where you fit in. And for you and Kenya to be arguing in episodes to come, I'm excited to see it, because you were willing to throw your friend Drew under a bus in order to get into the good graces of the OGs of the show, which was Candy and Kenya. But lately, y'all, we've been seeing a lot of pictures. I won't say a lot. I saw 2 pictures back to back of Sonya and Marlo and Sheree. And I think that that's the side that she's going to sit on. She's not going to sit on the OG side with Kenya and Candy. She's going to sit on the OG side with friend of the show and revolving housewife Sheree, because I think that she has burned her bridges. So I'm here for it. So Marlo actually has this conversation with Sonya and Sheree, and this is the first time that she tells somebody that she kicked the boys out the house. She says, y'all know, the boys, they just been acting a fool. Like, I can't handle it no more. They just been out of control. Michael punched a wall, so I had to kick them out. And everybody says, like, what do you mean? Where'd you send them to? And she says, well, I sent them to my sister's house. She was like, I just said I needed 30 days. She said, I'm losing me. y'all know that popular sound on TikTok that's from Empire? I gotta choose me. I choose me. Yes, Marlo was saying, I choose me. And let me tell you why that's dead ass wrong. And shout out to Bondi, y'all. We actually talked about this last Thursday on Ooh Ladies First panel. Bondi had mentioned how it was traumatizing for Marlo to make the boys FaceTime their mom to try to convince her to take a different plea in court. Because the repercussions, I gotta put me first. Thank you. I gotta put me first. That's what the sound is. Because the repercussions of that is if their mom decides not to take the plea that they want her to take, they can feel responsible for her decisions. So that was trifling as hell. So for one, you did that. And then you cried because you want somebody to feel bad for you that your sister is locked away. Meanwhile, your nephews are sitting there, not a tear coming down their face because they're used to this type of bullshit, which is a sad situation, right? So not only do you start to traumatize that, yes, Grace, babe, you make them a storyline. You make them a storyline. I told y'all at the beginning of the season, Marlo wants to be Uncle Phil so damn bad. Marlo wanted to be Uncle Phil, telling all the ladies, I bought them designer. I do this, I do that. They go to private school. Da, da, da. Nobody asked you to be Uncle Phil, Marlo. They asked you to put a roof over these kids' head and to be someone who would be constant for them. I feel like that's the most important thing for these boys, is that they have one thing in their life that is a constant factor. And by you being there, that would have been good enough. It wouldn't have been the clothes. It wouldn't have been the shoes. It wouldn't have been you having to tell them how much you've done for them when they're already thankful for it, right? So you trash as fuck for that, number one, Marlo. Number two, the boys obviously have some emotional issues because they've been through shit. I've been through things. You don't understand what I've been through inside in my Tiffany America's Next Top Model voice, okay? Hey, they've been through things, okay? She even asked the boys, do y'all want me to take you to therapy? So Marlo, if you knew that this was emotional behavior or outrage, why would you displace them for 30 days? And I'm going to call it displace. Because you're further traumatizing them and you are keeping up the cycle of abandonment in their lives. Because one thing that I feel like is for sure is whenever their mom had to go to jail, they probably didn't just live with you off rip. They probably went to somebody's house after that, waited for you to come get them or get dropped off. Then they stayed with you, only for you to get upset with them for having feelings that they don't know how to comprehend. Send them to your sister's house, and y'all tell me if I'm tripping. But it sounded like Marlo said that her sister was a mom of 4 toddler boys, so she knows what she's doing. Let me know if I made that up. But it sounded like Marlo said that her sister was a mom of 4 young boys herself, so she knows what to do. So if your sister is already taking care of 4 young men, why go add 2 more to the mix? Why? And Lena, let me read this comment. It says, Marlo is not their mom. She's not obligated to do this. Okay. Marlo's not their mom, right? But the thing is, if you decided to take those kids in, and if you wanted everybody to know that you were such a great muntie, that you were a mom and an auntie, and if you wanted to be a part of this damn photo shoot that Sonya had because you're raising kids, and if you wanted that to be the storyline and you decided to step into those shoes of being a parental figure, then you're obligated because you oblige yourself to the bullshit. Marlo decided to do this herself. She decided to wear that Muntie badge because she thought it made her look good. Parents don't get to take a break. And I'm using Marlo's words. Marlo considers herself to be a parent. And you're further traumatizing those kids by doing that. It would be completely different if she was a foster parent. If you was a foster parent and you knew that those were not your sons, you knew you didn't want to combine the words mom and auntie, then there's a level of disassociation that you can create between you and those boys. But no, you want attention. You want a fucking cookie for doing what you decided to do, to get on the show and to get a peach. So I think she's trifling as hell for doing that. But on the other side of things, while we're talking about trauma, y'all, Marlo herself has been through trauma, the feeling of being displaced and all those other things. So that is why Marlo can't parent her damn self. Marlo can't parent her damn self because her mom couldn't parent her. That's probably part of the reason why Marlo doesn't have kids today. That's probably part of the reason why it took Kenya so long to figure out if she wanted kids, because her mom didn't parent her. That's probably a reason why Candace from Real Housewives of Potomac doesn't know if she wants to have kids, because while her mother was present, her mom didn't parent the way that, she probably should have. Because I see a lot of toxic traits with her mama. But yeah, I'm just like, come on. My goodness. You said parenting doesn't stop. Well, it stopped for the boy's mom. Yeah. And she's trifling as fuck for it. Okay. And their mom isn't taking a break. There are demons that the boy's mom have been fighting, because one thing that has been a common factor is generational curses of having trifling ass parents. Parents who go through things, don't know how to parent, parents who rely on drugs and alcohol, and they decide that they would rather rely on drugs and alcohol than to be a parent. And the boy's mom has mental health issues. I'm glad y'all said that. There are so many factors. And y'all, I'm so glad that we're having this conversation about reasons why people can't parent. Shameless plug, okay? Tuesday, tomorrow, I'm going to have a conversation with y'all about this movie on Netflix called Girl in the Picture. So even if you're not really into true crime, I think that y'all should watch this. It's not really like it's not a gory true crime thing. It's just very crazy, very scandalous, and generational curses are a real thing where people's demons beat them because they don't know how to, or they don't have the tools to actually parent. And I don't consider, shout out to Monique, going to jail is not parenting. And one thing that I want y'all to know in the comments is, before it was stated that Marlo's sister had mental health issues, she was already in jail. So something went wrong. She broke the law in one way or another. And it just seems like bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. But y'all know, I ain't gonna preach too much on parenting, especially since I don't have no fucking kids. But what I can tell you is that I can sympathize with the way that these kids feel after being abandoned. So y'all check this movie out, and then we can have a whole deep conversation about it on Tuesday. And this is the perfect comment right here. Everybody should not have kids. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. That's I agree with you 100%. Okay, so y'all, let's move on from that. And Marlo, to me in this scene, whenever she told Sonia and Sheree that she kicked the boys out, I think she was looking for sympathy. I think she was looking for somebody to say, good for you, Marlo. You've been so good to them. You've bought them this. You've introduced them to a world of luxury, Marlo. Great job. I can't believe they would take you for granted. Marlo was looking for a fucking cookie. When she didn't get one, what did she do? She went to Candy, and she told Candy the same story, looking for a cookie. And what did Candy say? You wrong as fuck. Okay. I barely fuck with you. You was about to get cut off, but you're wrong. Marlo looked for a cookie at the party, at the pajama party. Luxury does not raise kids. But yeah, Marlo took the story to Candy, looking for a cookie, and Candy didn't give it to her. And she wanted attention. She wanted somebody to, she was tired, so she wanted somebody to tell her that she was doing a good job. Bonnie said, Marlo made a big deal about Candy and the used clothes, but she throws them to her sister like they're hand-me-downs. Good point. Okay. So now, y'all, it's finally time for the pajama party. Ugh. Goodness, y'all got me worked up over Marlo's trifling ass. I cannot stand trifling ass parents. I cannot. I'm sorry. I could not. And that's something that we're going to talk about tomorrow whenever we review Girl in the Picture. So I ain't going to do too much. But y'all join me tomorrow evening so we can talk about that movie. Okay. So anyway, it's time for the pajama party. All the ladies show up except for Marlo and Drew. They haven't arrived yet, but they're on the way. And Sonya and her messy ass, she says, Fatum, what do you think of Drew? It's very interesting that she asked Fatum that because she knows that Fatum was the one who got into an argument with Drew at Brooklyn's tea party birthday. And Fatum says, well, I have a business partner who's in real estate, and I had them do a background check on Drew. And come to find out, her and her husband have 12 aliases. Aliases. Her and her husband have 12 aliases. Yes, I think it was weird that you did a background check on Drew. 2, I think he was trying to secure your spot on Real Housewives of Atlanta. 3, it was entertaining. Okay, I'll give you that. So they were all saying nobody knows what Ralph does. We don't know what Ralph does for work. Somebody's name, I guess he's going by the name Danielle as well. And Drew explains to everybody that Danielle is just her assistant. But y'all, didn't they just say last season or the first season that Drew was introduced, they said that her husband worked in IT, right? Because I remember thinking it was weird that he had all them cameras around his house, but I wasn't necessarily surprised because he works in like IT or cybersecurity or something like that. I don't know. So finally, the rest of the ladies show up. Marlo and Drew are there, and finally, all the ladies in the cast are there. This is a nude interlude type party given Real Housewives of Potomac. They have new models, and they're joking about how they didn't know that this was a Candy Birds freak production. We even got Lisa Wu in the building, y'all. Lisa Wu shows up. And y'all, that with the seasons that Lisa Wu was on Real Housewives of Atlanta was so early that I can't remember how I felt about her when she was on the show. I can't remember if I even felt a way about her when she was on the show. I don't remember. I'm gonna get to Lisa Wu in a minute. But anyway, Sonya and Drew are off to the side alone, basically the two of them, and they're painting. And Sonya and Drew are having a conversation about what Sonya said to Ralph. Drew says to Sonya, why would you tell my husband that we act like we're busy, but we're really not? And Drew's like, Sonya responds and says, well, no, I wasn't trying to come for you. It felt like your husband was trying to come for me because he said that y'all are just as busy as we are. And Drew responds and was like, what are you talking about? Sonya says, I don't know which name I'm talking about. Is it Drew or is it Ralph? Y'all both have guy names, so I don't know. And she ends up walking away. Let me tell y'all why I think Sonya's whack as fuck. Like y'all don't already know, because I've told y'all a million times. But I think Sonya is whack as fuck because if you notice, every other confrontation that she's gotten into with Drew has had an audience. And every time there has been an audience, she has actively participated in the back and forth with her and Drew. This time that Drew pulls you to the side like a real friend and says, I have a feeling or I have a problem with you saying this about me, you don't want to entertain it. You don't want to entertain it. You don't want to entertain it. I don't think that the name comment was shade. I think Drew was reaching. I don't think the name comment was shade. But I do think that it was real whack how you've entertained Drew for the sake of arguing and for the sake of making yourself look a certain way. But as soon as you don't have an audience, you decide to walk away. That was whack as fuck, Sonya. Which is why I loved that Lisa punked your ass. She did. She did. She said, give me your lunch money. And you gave it to her and you was trembling in your motherfucking boots. You was shaking like a stripper. So now, y'all, we see Candy and Marlo, and they're in the bathroom having a conversation. And again, y'all, I told y'all that Marlo was looking for sympathy. She talks to Candy about what she's been going through. And Candy is a really good person to talk about this too, because Candy has been raising family members of her own for a long time. So for you to say this to Candy, you chose the wrong one. You thought that she was going to have sympathy for you, and she simply did not. But it got y'all on the right page for about 2 seconds before you decided to go on Carlos King podcast and say that Candy was fucked out. So I can't wait to see how Candy reacts to that. Well, I guess she didn't know until after the show was over, so we won't see her react. But yeah, Candy don't F with you, Marlo. I think you burnt that bridge, right? So now, y'all, it is time for dinner. Each person wants to go around in the room and somebody has to say something nice, and everybody says, "Yes, Queen." And Kenya is drunk. Kenya is on drink number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Kenya is not going home tonight, or Kenya is putting her Tesla in autopilot so the Tesla can drive her home because she cannot drive. Kenya is calling an Uber because she can't drive, or she's staying the night in Chateau Sheree. Now, y'all, they finally get to Drew. Drew has to make a comment and say something nice. Drew's comment is, well, I get along with mostly everyone here. And, I have love for y'all. And everybody's like, no, that's not a compliment. You can't say I get along with mostly everybody here. And Sheree says, Drew doesn't know how to compliment because she doesn't get them often. And I died laughing like, damn. So they said, okay, well, do you love her? Do you love, I can't remember if they said, do you love Sonya or Fatum? Anyway, it was Sonya. They said, do you love Sonya? They start arguing somehow. And Kenya is saying, well, they say you're supposed to love your enemies. Y'all, this was a whole drunken episode. So it was low-key hard to even keep up with what was going on. It was chaotic. And I wish that I was there. It looked like it was so fun. So Kenya and Lisa are both drunk and they're both trying to preach and tell Drew and Sonya how they should treat people and what they should be doing. And Lisa, she says to Sonya, let me finish. I haven't finished what the fuck I was trying to say. You don't speak until I finish. And Sonya's like, no, I was just trying to, you don't speak until I finish. I was like, she took her lunch money, the dimes and the pennies. She jacked her up by the neck of her collar and picked her feet up off the ground, and all her money fell out of her pocket and just, and Sonya was shaking. She grabbed her by the neck like this when she yelled at her and said, shut the fuck up and don't speak until I get done talking. I was like, that was wild. So Sonya was checked, and it was so funny to see how, Lisa went from 0 to 100, as Sonya likes to say, and how we didn't get to meet the real Sonya from Jamaica. Jamaica, stand up. Sonya, we didn't get to meet the real you that you told your mama Drew was about to run into. So, Drunk Kenya, she says, well, Fatum, she did a background check on you and your husband. And when she did a background check, we saw that y'all had 12 different aliases. And I was just like, damn. Drew makes this face and she doesn't really deny it. The only thing she says is, well, Danielle is my assistant. And this is what I wanted to ask y'all about. Fatum, just a new Fasten says, I'm sorry if I chopped your name up. Says, as annoying as Sonya is, Lisa's moment was a fail. It was awkward. Lisa's moment was cringe as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. But I also enjoyed seeing Sonya actually shut up when somebody told her to shut up. She was checked. I enjoyed seeing Sonya not keep that same energy. Prosperity says, I love Drunk Kenya. She made the show a 10 for me. She did. Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to ask y'all, I often think that once you reach a certain level of popularity, or once people know you, you no longer get things in your name. Like, I try to think, y'all gonna think I'm crazy, or maybe not. So y'all, the year was like 2005 or 6. And my parents dropped me off at the movie theater. And I was with my friends. And for whatever reason, there was still a payphone at my movie theater. And whenever the movies was over and I was waiting on my parents to pick me up, I went up to the payphone. I put some money in it, and I dialed to get the, I can't remember what it's called. I dialed whatever number it was to get the person on the phone. When, you hop on the phone and you say, hey, can you connect me to this person? I said, can you connect me to Usher Raymond III? And I'm at the third or fourth? I can't remember which one it is. Can you connect me to Usher Raymond? The phone rung, and my friend sat there, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, is this it?" Somebody answered the phone. It wasn't Usher, y'all. And the reason why I'm bringing this story up to y'all is because I feel like once you reach a certain level of popularity and people know you, I don't think that you're going to start opening phone bills. I don't think that you're going to start signing leases. Oh gosh. I don't think that y'all are going to start signing leases with your name. You're going to use the name of people who are closest to you. You're going to use the name of family members. You're going to use the names of assistants. So I wonder if that's what Drew and Ralph were doing. Now, Drew obviously isn't the most famous person here, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some of those aliases are being used because she's trying to protect her privacy. So, so I'm thinking like maybe that's what it was for. And y'all let me know. I do think that it's a possibility that some of those aliases could be like for fraud. Candy said that sometimes it's used whenever your credit ain't good, which I could see them doing that. So I think it's a mix of those things. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I'm trying to give Drew a little bit of grace and say, well, maybe that's why she did it. But the thing is, anytime they come to you, Drew, with some bullshit, you don't know how to defend yourself and squash the rumors that they're saying. When they came to you and said that your husband was into men's, you didn't squash it. You just allowed them to talk. When she came to you and said y'all have 12 different aliases, you only addressed the Danielle alias. You didn't address the other 11. So I just wish I knew what was going on. I really don't know. So they end up doing this scene with the incense, and it's basically no different than like the yoni steaming, you know, whenever you sit over like a bucket of water or something like that, and you basically steam your cooch, and it's supposed to like relieve all the negative energy and toxins and all the stuff that's bad for you. But I really didn't like the way that this scene was edited. I think the scene was chaotic AF. I think the way they were dancing around was odd. I think the drums they were playing was odd. Only because these women were drunk. It was nothing spiritual going on in that scene. It was weird to me. And then whenever she came down the stairs talking about, oh, I'm an African princess, it just felt like y'all were trying to gear this up to be like some type of ritual. And it was weird. I'm not sure if it was the editing. I'm not sure if that's the way that it actually played out in person. But I thought a lot of it was unnecessary, and they could absolutely have pumped the brakes on it. So Kenya, she ends up getting so drunk after this scene that she's running around the house, and she's like, I'm going home. And she sprints up the stairs, she sprints around the house, then she sprints back down the stairs, and she says, I'm the moment. And she looks right in the camera and says, I'm the moment is back. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, it made for a really, 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 really entertaining episode. So a couple things we learned this episode, just to sum it up. Number one, in my opinion, Marlo is not shit, and no one can convince me otherwise, okay? I also will give Marlo a benefit of grace because I know that Marlo herself is a product of generational triflingness, okay? If that's even a word. So I feel bad for her on that scope, but I do feel like once you're like Marlo says that she has this nonprofit foster care thing, right? She has this nonprofit foster care thing because she wants to make all the girls feel good and that she's grown being a product of fosterhood or a foster home. I think Marlo equates her success and her designer labels with her healing, and that's not what it is. So I feel like at some point in time, you are responsible for identifying, okay, I'm fucked up in this way, but this is how I can go about fixing it so I can end this generational trauma. And she hasn't done it, okay? She hasn't done it. Marlo has access, so much access I don't know how she got it. I just told y'all about. I don't know how she got it, but she has access. So I think that she should use that access to do what she needs to do to be a Monty, which is a mom and an auntie. So that's the first thing we learn. Second thing we learn is Drew, you do have multiple aliases. Ralph has multiple aliases. I really don't know why. Okay. I'm going to say maybe it's the assistant, maybe it's the credit. I don't know. I would love to find out. Third thing that we find out is that Kenya is really, really, really fun when she's drunk, y'all. But that's pretty much all I have for this review, y'all. Y'all need to make sure. Oh, this is the comment right here. Too feisty. The funny part is Marlo going to therapy would have been a good storyline for her. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. 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 Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed this review. I told y'all we're on the way to the next milestone. So if you haven't had the chance to hit subscribe and you find yourself watching this review, be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you already a part of hashtag Necey Hive or the Brunch Bunch, be sure to turn on your notification bell, y'all. And then again, tomorrow, I will see y'all where we can talk about Girl in the Picture on Netflix. So be sure to check that out. Trigger warning in advance, kidnapping, all kinds of things. Murder, yeah. But it's not gory, and I think that it'll make for a really interesting conversation. So I cannot wait to talk to y'all about that tomorrow. Okay, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.